MacArthur from Aspen, Colorado. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and I was fortunate enough to come out to Hawaii in the summers since I was 7 years old and was able to start learning how to surf. All my mentors there, Keone Downing, Fred Hemmings, a bunch of other guys, you know, their whole thing was not just do one thing. I mean, we would go out in pipo boards, before boogie boards were invented, we'd body surf, we would run on the beach, we'd run up Diamond Head, we would paddle canoes, longboards, shortboards. So really it was the whole gamut of being in the water and being a waterman. It wasn't about just doing one sport. And that's really carried over to my, what I think of as a mountain man. So in my life in the mountains, you know, I snowboard, I alpine ski, I Nordic ski, telemark, snowshoe, and that whole sort of thing has been very pervasive in my life. So waterman, what waterman means to me is really important. Yeah, growing up in the late 60s in Hawaii, in the South Shore of Oahu, there was an old Hawaiian guy that would do it stand-up paddling out in front of tongs, and we used to see him all the time. Just incredible, catching waves and just riding perfectly, and he had a real short outrigger paddle. And I think when we were about 12 or 13, we said, hey, let's give it a try, and it was a small day, and we went out and we were horrible at it. We thought, how does this old guy do it? It was incredible. So then we went, and then about 2003, on my honeymoon in Fiji at Namotu Island, and one of the guys there had a tandem board with proper length paddle, and I had my surfboard and my surf kayak there, and he said to me, hey, do you want to try this? I said, yeah, I do, and then I was hooked, and I bought myself a board and took it home that summer and started doing it in the rivers, and that was really my fix because I was missing the ocean and surfing so much. Once I discovered the standing waves in the river, then I could actually spend some time in the river and get knocked around by the whitewater and the current, which is what I was missing from the ocean. The rush is comparable. Just standing up in flat water is still a rush for me. The change, just like in the ocean, when you're paddling in the river, being able to see from that height, instead of the height of your knees, the height of your actual standing height, and be able to look at the river that way. Very similar to be able to see the waves coming in from the horizon. Stand-up paddling in the river is quite a bit different because you really don't have much hull speed unless you're surfing a standing wave. Most of the time you're going the same speed of the current or maybe a knot or two faster. So it's quite a bit less stable than it is in the ocean where you're either paddling in flat water or you're gliding on a wave and you have hull speed. One of the more challenging things stand-up paddling in the river is going through a wave train. So you have sets of waves in the ocean, and the river you call the same sort of phenomenon, wave train. The waves in the rivers obviously mostly much smaller than in the ocean on average, but the wave period is much smaller. So you're hitting one wave and then the next and the next. So it's kind of like going through a mogul field on your skis or a snowboard. So you really have to have constantly loose ankles. That became easier after a while. And then the rest of the time it's also using different currents to help maneuver your board.
Other SUP boards up on the rivers that compare to the ATB model?
There are no other boards that compare to the ATB model. Are you kidding, Liam? The difference between an ocean board and a board that's more suitable for the river is that we needed to have the rocker profile be quite a bit different. A little more flip rocker in the tip and tail to fit into the shorter river waves and keep the nose from plunging into the waves. And also having a little bit of extra width because you need a little more stability. Again, because you're not planing, there's not much hull speed on the board unless you're surfing, and even when you're surfing, the standing waves are a little bit slower than what you have in the ocean. The fins, the rubber fins that are used for beginners in the ocean are perfect for the river because the rubber fins then, if you hit a rock, you're less likely to get launched off your board and break a fin. So that's pretty nice. Plus you want the fins in the river to be looser. I have been cutting down the old fins quite short, 4 or 5 inches, so that the tail will swing around much more easily or be less affected by counter currents. So rubber fins being looser really help. And then the foot straps are really cool for 2 reasons. Really in class 1 and 2 water you don't really need them. Once you get into intermediate water, class 3, and expert water, class 4 and above, the foot straps are great for 2 reasons. One is that if you fall, you generally still have a foot on the board and you have a quick grab, a quick handle to grab it. Also, you can flip upside down and actually roll the board like a kayak, which is quite unique and fun to do. It's a great question you ask about animosity or acceptance of stand-up paddle boards or also just surfboards on the river. it's pretty nice. There really has been very good acceptance there. Probably because the etiquette in the river is such that you, as far as surfing a wave, you actually wait in line. You get in what's called an eddy, which is a resting or countercurrent to the main current, and everybody actually waits their turn to get on the wave. Now the reason this works is, unlike the ocean, you have a standing wave that's pretty much there 24/7, 365. So the resource is a lot greater. Granted, it's not as dynamic in a lot of ways as an ocean wave, but there's many more standing waves that are constantly running. So that presence of resource really makes it acceptability by the craft work quite well. Dream trip SUP. Boy, you know, I got some buddies going to Panama, and you know, being able to surf on boards and kayaks on the ocean, and then switch to boards and kayaks on the river, stand-up boards and kayaks. That would pretty much be it. Yeah, being in a place where you can do both rivers and ocean.